Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for being here. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, hello. I'm Tina, an SF Bay Area based designer who focuses on creating classic with an edge spaces, who's on a quest to make elevated luxury living accessible for everyone. So I think we're in a moment where people are quietly exhausted by trends and craving design that feels grounded and enduring. Details that age beautifully and carry meaning. It feels like a return to classic design, but edited, softened, and sharpened in a way that actually feels modern. This video is a build on a recent article I wrote for Real Simple about classic design that feels modern. These are lasting design choices that you can make in 2026 and feel good about 5, even 10 years from now. We're talking timeless, not trendy. The first one is Art Deco, not just for its glamour, but for the craftsmanship behind it. The symmetry, the metals, the millwork, they all reflect the kind of care that will never go out of style. Nowadays, it's all about delayed gratification to make lasting design choices. And I think what people are actually reacting to here or responding to isn't nostalgia, it's about craft logic. You see it in traditional European millwork, but you also very clearly see it in Japanese design. This idea that things are built to support themselves, that proportions matter, and nothing is decorative without purpose. When that logic gets edited and simplified, it suddenly feels incredibly modern. The way to make Art Deco modern is by applying it with restraint. You'll see something trending now called Neo Deco, which I think is more of a remix of the classic look. I think what's key here is modernizing it to hit on livability and ease without sacrificing style. You're playing off symmetry, geometry, and materiality, but modernizing it with curves, sculptural details, and editing instead of feeling costumey or too themey. Think a ribbed cabinet edge, a brass inlay, or a sculptural light. Grounding bold yet mature hues with black and brass. Another aspect of Art Deco that's resonating is this idea of it's around hope and optimism. And I think that's going to be a big theme this year. Contrary to what Pantone's 2026 color of the year will have you thinking, we're departing from minimalist beige interiors for more storied, authentic, and a bit indulgent without going full on maximalist. That was a big point there, but I think Art Deco is something it's obviously classic and here to stay. So that's a way to inject some modern twist into it. The next one I feel good about is checkerboard and grid floors, but with a whisper. Checkerboard has been making a comeback, but if it isn't well considered, it can feel overly energetic for day to day living. This is why it makes sense in transitional areas like entryways or hallways. What we're seeing now is a muted version of checkerboard and grid floors. It's like getting a manicure in a neutral or natural color. You're putting in the time, the effort, the money, the artistry, but you aren't screaming about it. It's quiet luxury and it's enduring design. It's graphic but grounded and it works beautifully with quiet luxury. But what makes it feel modern is this take on scale and tone. Larger tiles slow everything down, and when you soften the contrast, go for more creams and charcoals and warmer blacks, it becomes much more livable. That's why we're seeing it show up in kitchens or powder rooms now. It's no longer the main event, it's supporting the rest of the space. My next point is about plaster and limewash. Think old world, not trendy. Although plaster and limewash are done in terms of the hottest trend, they are old world and enduring in craft style and adaptability. They replace pattern with texture. They give depth and dimension that typical paint isn't able to achieve. What I especially love about limewash is that its handmade nature is artistic. It takes time and effort to apply. Your walls will naturally look better as they age. So, in this case, aging is a feature, not a flaw. Think matte, imperfect, light reactive. The upkeep of having it in high traffic areas like hallways and entryways is a call out as scuffs and marks from daily traffic can't be easily removed like paint, but it can totally be worth the upkeep, in my opinion. The key here is to not feel piecemeal with application. To work well and feel rich and considered, it should be applied to most, if not all, of your walls. So it's more of a commitment than what a Pinterest or IG image will lead you to believe. If you apply it to one wall, make sure it's an architectural choice, not the that focal wall of yesteryear. Make sure the movement in the application is subtle, no extreme trowel marks or dramatic swirls. The mineral paint and plaster is always going to be inclusive of an array of furniture and decor styles. But what keeps me excited right now is seeing it implemented with modern silhouettes. These finishes look better as they age, but they're not maintenance free, and that is part of the decision. My next design element is dark wood rooms, not like skewing away from mid-century. It's not that. Next is a resurgence of dark wood rooms. Think cocoon, enveloping, and immersion over contrast. This design choice does go along with the brown is the new neutral trend in recent years, but pairs it with a sense of nature, depth, and calm. Think less nostalgic, more into like that common considered space and an escape outlet. To do it successfully and keep it modern, keep the focus on the architecture with simple, minimal furniture silhouettes and warm, layered lighting. You want to avoid anything high contrast, especially ceilings, too much mid century modern furniture, and any retro signaling. This is a nice segue to my next design priority, which is rooms with purpose. Think library, club energy spaces that really slow you down, I think is going to be big in 2026. But it's an enduring design choice again. Along with my point of view on real estate wasting offenders and treating square footage like dollar signs, there's this broader idea of rooms being wasted for one reason or another. We've been taught to default extra square footage to a future guest room. But when you actually look at how often those rooms get used, many of them are just sitting there tied up as potential instead of lived in space. I'm seeing more people rethink that and design rooms around how they actually live, not how a model home told them they should. So, yes, we're seeing more creative studios and home gyms, but I think there's an even bigger opportunity here is to create sanctuaries and spaces that actually slow you down. It's about finding purpose in underutilized spaces. What makes it feel modern are also using deep enveloping colors and layered lighting. Think masculine elements that soften for families. Part of this is a quiet pushback against open plan everything. People are craving emotional pacing in their homes, spaces that let you shift gears. That's where design starts to function as regulation, not just aesthetics. What you'll want to avoid is overly masculine cliches, literal cigar bar looks that feel too forced, and rooms that feel like movie sets instead of warm and lived in. What all of these have in common is that they're not loud. They're not chasing novelty. They're design choices that trust time and trust your taste. If you're designing your home right now, my advice is this: choose frameworks that have lasted and edit them for how you actually live. Timeless doesn't mean boring, it means confident. If this resonates, you're in the right place. Thank you for watching.